This is JoyNews Desk with me, Mami Nyamiche Thompson. Coming up, major breakthrough in Bawku conflict as the Asante brokers peace between the feuding factions. The deal has been struck for violence to stop. We have details of that coming up also. Showdown in Parliament as the majority declares Pandai MP Matthew Nyindam's seat gone for good, vowing to block him from House until the rerun declared by the Tamale High Court restores a legitimate representative. We also have business on our desk. Do stay for details. The Asante Otumfuo said to the second has brokered a major breakthrough in the protracted Bawku conflict. After closed-door negotiations with the rival factions, both sides have resolved to live in peace. In a statement, the Asante directed leaders of the factions and their followers to enforce the peace on the ground. He warned that this deal must not become another signature on paper, but a binding commitment to end the bloodshed permanently. Otumfuo said to the second is expected to brief President John Mahama in the coming days to trigger an expedited state-level security and peace-building response. Emmanuel Bawku reports.
Members of the Comsys and Mampusi communities arrived at the Mencia Palace with a common aim, finding a lasting and peaceful resolution to a protracted chieftaincy dispute. The feud has claimed several lives and brought destruction to properties as the Bawku community witnessed a series of violent attacks and sporadic shooting. The conflict has caused the displacement of people as some residents flee the area to seek shelter in other communities. President John Dramani Mahama earlier this year tasked the Asante to lead mediation talks between the feuding factions. After months of peaceful dialogue, the Asante today concluded deliberations with the opposing factions. Scores of people from the two ethnic groups pitched camp at the frontage of the Mencia Palace, awaiting a peaceful resolution. The Asante's ruling is expected to bring finality to the decades-old conflict. After several hours of closed-door meetings, there was wild jubilation at the palace as members of both sides expressed relief and optimism after the latest round of talks ended on a positive note.
All right, so it appears conclusions with the mediation talks with Asante has finally come to an end. We do not really know what happened in the closed-door meeting, but this is the jubilation that we are having here at the Mencia Palace, and as you can see, that is the dignity or some local authorities here at the. We understand this is the group for the Comsys. They had waited all day long for the Asante to conclude the mediation talks between the Mampusis and Comsys, and we know that this conflict has been a long-standing chieftaincy feud between the two factions that have resulted in the loss of lives and destruction to property. It's a large fleet of vehicles moving out of the Mencia Palace after mediation talks with the Asante. And in fact, for many of them, they are hoping that the outcome of today's talks or dialogue or the conclusion by the Asante will be one that would ensure that peace prevails in Bawku and its environs. And so we still have heavy military presence here. We already saw the police lead the Comsys out of the Mencia Palace, and as you can see also in your shot, we are having the military also join the large fleet of vehicles. They are right behind the vehicle that conveyed dignitaries from the various places to the Mencia, and now they are going back to wherever they came from. And we understand that the Asante will forward all the outcomes to the presidency, and once that is done, the public will know the outcome of the mediation talks led by the Asante.
For JoyNews, my name is Emmanuel Bawku.
Well, the Asante Otumfuo Setutu has released a statement on the mediation that ended yesterday. And according to that statement, it says that he's rounded off his mediation effort in Bawku's chieftaincy crisis with a face-to-face meeting between the contending parties. Now, Chief Tarana John has also been part of the mediation members who have been, meeting with the Asantehene on the issue. We'll get details of that statement very shortly. But on the line with me is Ilyasu Tanko from the Northeast region. Ilyasu, we'll come back to the Asantehene statement, but could you tell us what the mood is in the area? Whilst we try to establish contact with Ilyasu Tanko, he's in the Northeast region. Ilyasu, can you hear me? Ilyasu, unmute and speak to us. All right, we'll still try and get Ilyasu on the line. But back to the Asantehene statement. It says that Chief Tarana John Wuni Gruma, Paramount Chief of Tarana Traditional Area and spokesperson of the Nayiri, led a 30-member delegation to represent His Majesty Bawku Mahami Abdullahi Sheriga, the Nayiri and overlord of Mampurugu and the Mamprusis, while Batambi's Balung, Paramount Chief of Pusiga, led the delegation representing the Bawku Sukran, Asirgi, Abugragu, Azoka, the second, and the Kusasi people. Now, Honorable Cletus Afoka acted as spokesperson for the Kusasi delegation, with Dr. Isa as spokesperson for the Nayiri and Mamprusis. Both delegations comprised of chiefs, lawyers, academics, opinion, and youth leaders. After spending several months listening to both sides present their arguments in separate meetings, His Majesty has brought both sides to speak directly to each other in a formal effort to explore a pathway to lasting resolution of the issues that have persistently undermined the peace in the Bawku traditional area. The meeting was held in a cordial atmosphere, with both sides emphasizing the fact that they are one people who have no reason to be at war with each other. Now, that is where we are emphasizing. So they've come together to emphasize that they will now live in peace with each other. And His Majesty has thanked both sides for their civility and maturity and urged them to remember that whatever the outcome of the mediation, they would have to live together as brothers and sisters. And he's urged the leaders to start preparing the minds of their supporters to be prepared to put an end permanently to violence and disorder in their communities. Now, His Majesty has announced that he would submit his report with his proposals to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama in the next few days. He's hoped that the President would act expeditiously and convene a formal meeting of all interested parties to announce the outcome of the mediation mission. Now let's go back to the Northeast region and speak to Ilyasu Tanko. Ilyasu, kindly unmute and speak to us. What's the mood on the ground if people have heard of this new decision made in the Ashanti region?
Hi, Mamiesi, can you hear me?
Better now, yes.
Well, there was wild jubilation yesterday, especially in Nalerugu, the regional capital. Immediately, the announcement was made in Kumasi. Earlier on, the police in the region had also said they were ready to confront any threat that would come out of this particular decision that was announced. This morning, it has been a sunny morning across the region. This has been largely peaceful. There's no activity regarding in connection with the decision that was made. Many people are hopeful that the decision will go in their favor, and many others, especially those in Wale Wale, who have suffered much of the impact of this particular region conflict, are also hoping for a final resolution so that they could live their lives in peace.
Well, a key part of the Asantehene's statement is that the leaders will, rein in their supporters such that they adhere to the decision taken between the factions. Have they communicated the deal yet to the local youth groups and opinion leaders as well as the supporters?
Indeed, many of the youth group, especially the leadership of the Mamfurugu Youth Association, was in Kumasi when the decision was made, or when the decision was communicated, or when the event happened. And the leadership of the delegation led by Mbatarana, including the chief of Bunkurugu, also addressed the youth immediately after they come out of that particular closed-door meeting. And we understand that the Mampurugu Youth Association are going to intensify discussion with the various youth groups to prepare their minds for any outcome that may come out of yesterday's event. So yes, there's effort ongoing by the Mampurugu Youth Association in particular to talk to the youth to get ready for whatever outcome.
Well, Eliasu, have there been any visible changes, especially in security deployment, since this announcement yesterday?
Indeed, the military have arrived again in Wale, which has been the flashpoint of this particular incident. The Wale Bolaga Road has been a major security point throughout this particular disturbance, largely because of the incident also happening on the Olaga Bawku Polmakum Road. And so there have been large deployment of security forces, including armed soldiers, on this particular stretch. Also in Nalergo, there are also indications. I spoke with the police public relations officer, and he said they were ready to deploy their men in the event that there's any security threat in the area. So there have been visible changes in terms of security. We see armored vehicles sporadically patrolling the Wale Township and the Bolaga Wale Tamale Highway.
Right. Thank you so much, Eliasu, for that update from the Northeast region. Also joining us is Richard Kumado, he's security analyst on this issue. We're grateful for your time, sir. From a security perspective, what makes this intervention by Otumfuo different from previous efforts that failed to hold, really? From Otumfuo's statement, they've met for months with the factions differently and also ensure that they met face-to-face to trash out their issues. What's the uniqueness with Asantehene's, approach?
One of the things that comes to mind is that his approach is very methodological, and he's also diligent with what he does. And coming with that level of stature as Otumfuo, the King Solomon of our days, or particularly in Ghana, people respect him. So he crafted or he created a mediation environment that is accommodating, that is grounded or influenced by wisdom and by diligence and by objectivity. And I think that makes the difference for him. As a nation, we have come to the stage where we believe that his methodology or his mediation team are credible. And the mediation environment he creates is very cordial. And people will be willing to speak to him. And I believe, just like he did for Dagbon, I'm so sure that we will get this one done as well.
So, in effect, what I'm hearing, or I stand to be corrected, is that the factions didn't really trust the political approach to this issue, or let me say, government institutions in dealing with this issue.
You want to cause trouble this morning? I didn't say that. You asked me what happened. Right. You asked me what happened with Asantehene, and I said, one is our grandfather. His approach is very methodological. He's a wise person. He comes to the job with a lot of wisdom and a stature. So we take it from there.
All right.
Now, when you drag me to politics, you know what politics have done to this country. Many of the political actors and many of the decisions taken by politicians might be influencing what was happening at Bawku. And I thought, in the wisdom of the president and previous presidents, they thought that let's take it away from the realm of politics and give it to our traditional leaders. And Ashanti stood tall in this particular regard.
Right. What immediate security actions must the state at least take to ensure that this succeeds, it doesn't fall, as you said, referring to the Dabom situation?
No, we are yet to see what the recommendations will be. In mediation terms such as this, it must always be win-win situation. And so therefore, in the communique, as he indicated that he'll be writing to the president, there will be some responsibilities that will fall directly under the purview of the president. And for that matter, law enforcement agencies. There will be some other ones that will go to the faction parties. And each one of us is expected to follow suit and ensure that what we have been assigned to, we discharge it predominantly successfully. And when it comes to law enforcement and the levels of security breaches and safety lapses we have seen, law enforcement will always do their very best to ensure that they bring perpetrators to book. But it's also important that for the leaders of the two factions to educate their people, bring sober minds back home, let them live together like Ashanti has indicated. They are one people and they cannot be seen to be divided themselves almost all the time.
And also, I mean, this has been decades-long dispute. I'm sure that there are people in there who have been psychologically ruined, some who've had their, lives or even their jobs, other things going awry as a result of the conflict. What are the steps that can be taken to, deal with these fallouts? Should it be compensation? Should it be psychological, help? And what are some of the steps or measures that can be taken to deal with these situations?
I think we call them conflict affected personalities. When you study their life, or people who have lived predominantly within conflict zones, it affects them not just psychologically, emotionally, financially, and physically. And I think they will need a holistic determination, a meditation, and a rehab regime if we can afford it as a nation, or their leaders can afford it. It will help to bring them back to the status where they will be stable as individuals and they will be stable as families. Because this conflict has affected a whole lot of persons in various dimensions, and we cannot quantify the negative effect it has had on some of our family people and friends from the north. And so I agree with you. They will need the psychology department of Legon. We will need to step in strongly and provide a platform of healing for our brothers from Bawku in particular. Then the state itself must make some level of resources available for those who will be needing it and bringing them together. It means that we are promoting national cohesion. We want to live together. We want to develop in peace. And we want to ensure that we are one people with a common destiny. And I agree with you 100%. There has to be some level of support for them.
Well, we are grateful that the situation in Bawku at least is seeing some progress in this regard. There are also some pockets of violence in other areas that, especially chieftaincy disputes, land disputes, and whatever. Looking at the work of Asante, would you say that the chieftaincy institution should be strengthened in conflict resolution, such that all these other aspects of disputes will be resolved?
Definitely, yes. I think that we have House of Chiefs. They need support. They need empowerment. The Peace Council is complaining about lack of resources. They have been ineffective in dealing conclusively with many of these matters. And to the extent that Asante mediation team has proved to be credible and worthy and viable, we will need to look at it again. Because what are the stories? We know them already. Some are about chieftaincy. Some is about land. Some is about self-identity and self-governance. And some is about pure criminality. As a nation, we have not dealt with it properly. Pre our independence days, and after independence, we were a little bit too divided. considering the fact that politics divides people and politics is very divisive in nature, I support any idea that our chieftaincy institutions should be strengthened and they should be dealing with such issues on a timely manner where our culture will be preserved, our traditions will be preserved, and where there are difficulties among us, let's go back to the elders who have been given wisdom and who have governed us for all these years, and I will support it. Of course, Asante-Hene mediation team stands up. So if it means that the other traditional areas are having difficulties and they can't solve it, I believe we have to always be going to Mensia. And Mensia will have to be equipped with the necessary support so that they can deal with some of these critical issues that affect national cohesion and breaches the public peace and public trust.
Thank you so much, Richard Kumado, security analyst, joining us on the Bawku mediation that just ended yesterday. Also joining me this morning is Kwesi Yirenchi. He's Senior Public Relations Officer with the National Peace Council. Grateful, sir, for your time on our desk. And what role will the Peace Council play in monitoring, compliance and enforcing accountability in this agreement between the factions in the Bawku situation?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. For us at the National Peace Council, we are grateful to Asante-Hene's efforts in mediating and the work done so far. For us, the effort we'll be making to ensure compliance is to it's more of encouraging and then continue advocacy on the grounds and then with the youth and then various people. So our officers, both at the national and at the regional level, will continue engaging them like we've been doing to escalate the effort of talking and then dialoguing to ensure that what the roadmap that will be announced later will be followed to bring lasting peace to Bawku.
All right. You talk about roadmap, which leads me to my next question. What would be that roadmap that will lead to reconciliation beyond, security? Also justice for those who need it, and some form of healing. What will really will be the roadmap leading to that?
I'm honestly not privy. The council is also not privy to it. The Asante-Hene's mediation team is actually having it, and I think, like it stated, they'll forward it to the president, and we'll all be briefed on the roadmap and then what the way forward will be. But for us as Peace Council, like I said, we are ready. We'll continue working and then dialoguing and encouraging the people, both parties, to, one, stay calm, exercise restraint, two, respect whatever the outcome of the mediation team will be, and then three, those with arms should silence the gun, and collectively, let's all work together to seek peaceful means of resolving the conflict in Bawku. So this is for us what the council is proposing, and of course, we are working, awaiting the recommendation that Otumfuo's mediation effort will bring.
Thank you so much, Kwesi Yirenchi. He's Senior Public Relations Officer with the National Peace Council. Away from Bawku, Parliament's majority is drawing a hard line against Pandai MP Matthew Nyindam after a High Court ruling annulled its parliamentary election results. Chief Whip Roxton Nelson Dafiamepo says he would be blocked from all parliamentary business until a rerun produces a legitimate representative. He spoke on Top Story last night.
To get Parliament injuncted, it didn't happen. The court to with him.
You will still ensure that Matthew Nyindam does not participate in the activities in the
I will
House.
not merely ensure, I will insist. This is a substantive order of the High Court. Substantive decision of a case heard on this matter. This is just oppose that with the Judge Kwesi's case. Kwesi's case was an interim order of the court upon the final determination of the case on its merit.
However, NPP's Director of Legal Affairs, Gary Bawku, dismissed claims that Martin Yindam should vacate the chamber immediately, calling such demands in court indecent haste and court meant to sabotage due process.
And you say that the person should leave Parliament even before the stay is heard. Why is this said? Let the Supreme Court to decide that, look, the judgments, the policies that were filed at the High Court, because it was far out of time, everything that is found is void of no legal effect. And then another time you have to take the seat vacant. What have we done to the MP? So why the haste? Why the indecent haste?
Well, we'll get to Parliament later in the day and get updates from there. Well, Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomolate, says government is implementing measures to curb HIV/AIDS transmission from pregnant women to their babies amid rising AIDS prevalence in the country. At the launch of the Civil Society Strengthening Program strategy in Accra, she noted that government is particularly focused on supporting pregnant women living with the condition. Edna Garima's report read to you.
Globally, about 1.3 million women and girls with HIV become pregnant each year, with a 15 to 45% risk of mother-to-child transmission without intervention. A study in Ghana shows MTCT is the second leading mode of HIV transmission, accounting for nearly all cases in children under 15. Speaking at the launch in Accra, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Namomolate, underscored the government's resolve to invest in efforts that reduce HIV transmission among pregnant women and their babies.
We are looking at reducing mother-to-child transmission, which we have chalked some successes. We still have a long way to go. If for anything at all, we know that once somebody contracts it, it's not a death sentence. There is hope. But we don't want mothers to transmit to the children.
She also stated the government's commitment to support an effort to shift power locally.
So this is just reaffirming that our partnership is so significant going forward, especially if you want to shift power, where you want to move it from the central to the local level, so that local actors can own the impact of every intervention. They are not only beneficiaries.
On her part, head of programs at Star Ghana Foundation, Eunice Agbe-Nyaji, provided further insight into the importance of shifting power.
Shifting power and decision-making and control from funders and institutions who are based in Global North to civil society and communities. And this is to ensure that development priorities are set by communities because they live challenges, and they are best placed to determine how those development agendas, development collaboration should be done.
The Shifting the Power program is an 8-year initiative led by Star Ghana Foundation, the West Africa Civil Society Institute, and Teletones Foundation, with support from Comic Relief and the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Edna Garima's report read to you.
Committee Dr. Godfrey Seidu Jassal says producers of local rice in Ghana have shown they have the capacity to compete with imported ones. Speaking during a Ghana rice exhibition and tasting event in Parliament's House, he said it is time more Ghanaians consumed Ghana rice to reduce the country's $500 million rice import bill. He spoke alongside Dr. Betty Annan of Agra and Dr. Nana Ama Oponjia of the John Kufuor Foundation, who are leading the Ghana Eats Ghana Rice campaign.
In most cases, from what I have tasted, and by the way, I have tasted a lot of rice already, different varieties. They are showing all the rice you know about, green rice, wache, our good own jollof, and then even cinnamon rice. And these are all made in Ghana rice. That is produced from made in Ghana rice. The nutritional integrity is protected because there is no over-polishing of it. There's a lot of fiber, and there's a lot of additional nutrients that are healthy for us as a country. Now, what is amazing is that they've actually demonstrated potential to have good quantities and acreages of production. Not just that, they've been milled, they've been packaged in ways that are overly competitive with what we see around.
We are hoping that there will be policies in place. There are policies, but we are hoping that they will be implemented so that the processors can uptake locally produced rice, maybe up to 30% of what they process, so that our farmers can continue to produce more rice.
We are also appealing to Ghanaians to put money into the hands of fellow Ghanaian farmers and not the farmers in Vietnam and Thailand and other countries. So let's eat Ghana rice. Ghana rice is our grain and our pride.
This is JoyNews Desk. We'll take a break. We return with business.
Now, Kasona Global Imaging says strategic investment in affordable medical technology is key to strengthening Ghana's diagnostic sector. Speaking in an interview at the annual Sonographers Conference, sales lead Gladys Tete says supporting sonographers with training and modern ultrasound system is part of the company's goal to expand access to reliable imaging services nationwide.
At the annual Sonographers Conference, sales lead of Kasona Global Imaging, Gladys Tete, said supporting sonographers is not only a health priority, but also an economic investment in Ghana's diagnostic sector. She noted that equipping professionals with modern ultrasound systems enhances early detection, protects the workforce, and strengthens long-term service delivery.
In terms of emerging trends, there are lots of technology that are emerging AI technology, which our equipment have. So their theme actually aligns so much with the agenda for our company, which is providing affordable equipment for early diagnosis. And it is very important that we channel our resources to support some of these discussions. We're not just selling equipment, we're selling a solution. What is the solution? Is providing medical imaging equipment at affordable prices. Not only that, we believe in providing technical support, both engineering and training, and also to be able to provide that level of accessibility.
President of the Ghana Association of Registered Medical Sonographers, Philip Hagan, says partnerships like Kasona are reducing operational costs for members, while equipment donations are boosting productivity and expanding services in underserved communities.
Our partner was Kasona Global Limited. This influenced the conference by reducing costs for participants, and it was quite cheaper. They also gave away some machines which would help our participants wherever they go. Our practice, it is the wish of every sonographer to actually own a machine. The challenge is the finance to acquire these machines. So being able to win a machine as good as DP10 at this conference goes a long way to, in fact, reduce that burden, because now you don't have to go look for funds to go and buy machines. The other benefit would be that these machines can be carried out everywhere and can be used everywhere because they are mobile. So it means that improves care when it comes to in rural areas, they can be used.
With new equipment support and enhanced training, stakeholders say Ghana's imaging sector is better positioned to expand access, improve early diagnosis, and strengthen the country's healthcare delivery system.
Away from that, Comsys Ghana Limited says it is committed to powering the nation's digital infrastructure, with its leadership projecting even stronger growth in Ghana's transformation into a global digital skills hub. Speaking at the company's 25th anniversary event in Accra, co-founder Jonathan Lamptey highlighted the company's role in strengthening financial systems, expanding jobs, and driving innovation across sectors.
For 25 years, Comsys has driven innovation and become the backbone of Ghana's financial ecosystem, supporting mobile money, check clearing, passport processing, and digital transactions. Co-founder Jonathan Lamptey says the next phase will position Ghana as a global digital talent hub.
What propelled us is focus, dedication, determination. So I believe that with these ingredients and some discipline, anything is possible. If there's nothing at all, we could say that we've created a platform where all financial transactions in the country goes through, whether it's mobile money interoperability, whether it's check clearing, whether it's stock exchange, whether it's whatever that has to do with finance, passport processing, etc. So we have created something that makes it easy for all these things to happen, and I think I'm proud of it.
In a keynote delivered on his behalf, the Ghana manager praised Comsys for shaping Ghana's communication landscape and creating hundreds of jobs over the last 2 decades. He described the company as a symbol of trust, innovation, and transformative leadership, urging management to continue investing in young people and community development.
For 2.5 decades, Comsys has not only weathered the winds of change, but it has also shaped them, charting a path of excellence in technology and innovation right here from the Greater Accra region. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, your collective commitment has made Comsys not just a successful company, but a beacon of Ghanaian potential.
With leaders pledging continued investment in people, technology, and community development, Comsys says its next 25 years will focus on scaling innovation and strengthening Ghana's competitiveness in the digital economy.
And that will be all for business. I am Michelle Ejiku. The small business news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We'll take a breather. We'll be back with more.
Back to JoyNews Desk, we engage former Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. K.B. Tando, on the fallouts from the 2025 West Africa Senior High School certificate examination. He's with me in the studio. We're grateful for joining us again. Good to have you back to our studios. I mean, I'm sure you've, familiarized yourself with the issues that have come out from the 2025 WASSCE, the recent results that have been released. It's not great. Particularly when you were there, we were recording, good results. Then all of a sudden, there's a sharp turn. What would you say was making, or what was the difference you brought to the game that made it easy? But this time around, things have changed.
Well, thank you. It's a very good question. And yes, it is quite concerning. But I think that what we need to be able to do is to interrogate what happened and try to ensure that we plug, the decline. These are some of the things that we were doing when I was Deputy Director General that I believed contributed to the outcomes in terms of the learning outcomes we're receiving. Now, in education or in a lot of things, there are what I call leading indicators. So the things that you do to get the outcome you're looking for, and then the outcome is usually the lagging indicator.
Right.
So there are a number of things that I believe was happening that, based on my own independent checks, are no longer happening, which I say may be the reason why the results we saw were a bit worrying. 4 key things. Number one, from 2018, we introduced what was called the Academic Intervention Grants. This is when you and I used to go to school. Those whose parents were a bit wealthy could pay for extra classes.
Right.
So if you remember, after school, some people will go and get some extra classes. Those extra classes were usually people with a bit of resources to be able to do. With free SHS, the system opened that everybody from all walks of life, because of the academic performance, could now come into school regardless of their financial situation. So the government in 2018 sat with unions. At the time, the union leaders were Angel Kabonu, David Echampong, and Kenali Audu. Sat with them and said, listen, we want extra classes for all students, because the wealthy ones can do it, but the ones who don't have the resources cannot.
Right.
So we agreed, and they said, well, you would have to pay a certain amount per student. So we termed that academic intervention grants. That allowed early morning lessons to be conducted for the whole school. It allowed for afternoon lessons to be conducted, and in some schools, they even did weekend remedial programs for boarding students. So this was one of the key academic intervention that was happening for all students to provide some additional support. That has not happened in 2025.
And this was outside the normal teaching period?
It's outside the normal teaching period.
Okay.
It has not happened because the resources have not gone. Number two, from 2020, we realized that when the students write exams, the chief examiners of WAEC write a chief examiner's report. That chief examiner's report is then sent to schools. But we realize that it will go to the schools, the teachers that want to kind of review it will review it, but it's sitting there. So what we decided to do was to work with Ghana Education Service, worked with WAEC, to secure the chief examiners to then run workshops at the regional level for the department heads of at least the 4 core subject areas: math, English, social studies, and integrated science. They will help the department heads to understand what challenges the students who wrote the previous exam faced, what questions they avoid, what topics they couldn't handle very well. Then those head of department will then go into their schools and cascade the training to their departments in English, social studies, math, and science. So these trainings were allowing teachers to be a bit more prepared in future students and the work that needs to be done in terms of their preparations towards exams. That chief examiners workshops have not happened again. Number 3, we used to have what was called math and science specific training. It started when I went into GES in 2018. And what we used to do is to look at the difficult to teach subject or topic areas. Then we would have master teachers from within the GES run workshops across the country for math and science specific teachers on how to address those things. Is it fair vectors? Is it whatever it is that they are having difficulty in? Master teachers who are GES will run workshops for their own colleagues, will provide the resources for those to happen. That third thing was not happening. Then number 4, if you remember, we used to have these annual core subject teacher workshops across the country. We were doing it in the colleges of education, in the universities, in the technical. We use those spaces to run these workshops. Those 4 key leading indicators for at least 2025, the evidence is that it is no longer happening.
But let me come in here. These 4 programs were running.
Yes.
Even until 2024,
yes.
Right? And this, the new administration took over just recently. I mean, they're not even into a year.
They are
almost
10 months
10
or 11 months. Yes.
10 months.
We are in December, so
yeah. Could we say that the kids or the students or candidates had been undergoing these, trainings until the last 10 months? So there could have been some, knowledge impacted or something done to mitigate the results we're seeing now.
But for a curriculum that is 3,402 hours long, not supporting students in these areas for 1,134 of that 3,000 hours is significant. It's 1/3 of the time that you have not been providing this support. And so all I am saying is that the things that were constant that are no longer there, those can be the things that we can initially point to as the things that didn't happen that may have contributed to this decline.
Okay.
And the decline, we need to be able to understand it carefully. Now, in university going rate or tertiary enrollments, we all know that all universities or all tertiary institutions at least take 3 of the core subject areas plus your other areas for admission. And you must have passed at least those 3 core subject areas with A1 to C6. Last year, the number of students who wrote WASSCE in 2024 were 460,611. This year, it was 461,736. So almost the same, 460,000 students last year and this year. Last year, the mathematics that we have been concerned about, some 305,132 students scored A1 to C6, which means their ability to progress to tertiary education. We had some 300,000 students. This year is 209,000.
Yeah.
The difference is over 96, almost 97,000. So that means this year, our human capital quality has been reduced by close to 100,000. Right? So it is not just even the 18.13 percentage point reduction, but if you look at the raw numbers, it's quite staggering. So for me, what I'm saying is something was working. It wasn't broken. This chair you are sitting on, there are 5 legs. It works fine. somebody comes and decides to take 2 legs off when it's not broken. If the chair tilts, we need to say, what did you do to that chair? So all I'm saying is that a system had been working, at least for the results we can see over the past 5 years.
Okay.
The results have been good, as you said. And all of a sudden, we're having challenges. So let's look at what we touched.
We touched that went wrong. Well, GES disagrees with you. Yesterday, they released a statement, punching into those measures you said, or you're just explaining to us that they think wasn't really working, and that this year's examination has actually exposed the weak, systems that were in place when they took over. And I'm hoping that we can project that statement so that at least we can get it properly. So I'll take it from point 3.
Yes.
Which says that it is not true.
Yes.
That GES has cancelled any allowances due teachers as claimed by Dr. Otumfuo, was the former minister, in his engagement with some media houses. Indeed, the Controller and Accountant General's Department had publicly clarified reasons for non-payments of the November allowances for teachers. Well, GES urges the public to disregard the statements by the minister, whose attempt to shift focus from shortcomings in managing the examination process. It also says that it views the results as a true reflection of academic performance of candidates. The outcome is credible representation of students' abilities. I mean, in other words, what you're trying to tell us was really not working. It was a cover-up.
So the first thing I would say
very
is that,
briefly for me, because we have just about a minute to
No
go.
problem. The first thing I would say is that the GES statement is quite unfortunate, for the Ghana Education Service to put out such a statement. I'll quickly address point 3.
Right.
The professional development allowance is not the academic intervention grant. Professional development allowance is paid in November of every year.
Right.
The exams that we are talking about happened in September, October. So it cannot be that it's because of the non-payment of the professional development allowance. So the first thing I would say is that the GES shouldn't have put this statement out. It's quite unfortunate. Number 2, now this whole idea of the credible performance, it is laughable, because I know for a fact that if the children had performed better this year, that same statement would have said, we have performed, we have done so well, that's why the children are performing better. So if it goes well, accept it. If it doesn't go well, accept responsibility and correct it. This is what I would say. The GES has made a very, very unfortunate statement, but by insinuating that somehow there was more practice, and that is why the students were performing. And that this is the true, what did they say?
It says that that's the credible outcome of the credible representation of students' abilities.
Fantastic. I just want to remind every Ghanaian that next year, if the students perform better than this year's credible standard, then GES has helped the students to cheat. Because what they are trying to say is that good performance is equivalent, good performance beyond this is equivalent to cheating.
Well,
so we would all be watching.
Believe
That's why I'm saying it's quite unfortunate.
Unfortunate. Well, thank you very much, Dr. KB Tando, and he is formerly with GES Deputy Director, GES.
Deputy Director General.
Thank you for joining us on JoyNews Desk. That's how we wrap up this edition of the show. Thank you for staying with us.